Welcome back to the High Impact TV channel. I want to just start with something simple and basic. Do you have the right, the unalienable right to keep and bear arms? And can that right be legitimately infringed? And what is an infringement? Those are three questions I like to ask myself anytime I consider an article that purports to advance the cause of gun rights. This right here comes from the Navy Times, and I want to shout out to Jared from Guns and Gadgets. I just watched his video on this. I wanted to look it up and check out the psychological operation that it was at work. And boy, oh boy, it is a psychological operation, because the end result of this article is to get Americans to look at this and beg for more chains of their own oppression. And what I mean by that is, this ex-Navy officer, he's homesick, and he goes to the Naval, medical center to get checked out. They treat him for depression, which was very minor because he was depressed that he was homesick. He's in the process of moving to Hawaii, where you have to register your guns. And what is that? What is registration? What is requiring a permit? It's begging for permission from the government to do something that you have a natural, unalienable right to do in the first place, and that is to keep and bear arms, not begging anybody for any kind of permission. So it says, Hawaii gun permit ruling sides with homesick Navy officer. It says right here, U.S. Navy officer stationed in Hawaii cannot be denied a firearms permit solely because he sought counseling for feeling depressed and homesick, a federal judge ruled. So, you can't be denied a firearms permit. How about you can't be denied firearms, period? That's where it should have ended. Double, triple, probably a quadruple psychological operation where Americans are like, yeah, you need to allow the slave of America to beg the government for permission for something that he has the right to do anyway because the Constitution says so. Which gets to another thing. How much power does the Constitution actually have? If the Constitution is the supreme law of the land, then why aren't the supreme overlords being subservient to the supreme law of the land? I.e., why aren't the Supreme Court of the United States justices saying, hey, you know what? Supreme Court says what it says. We can't change it. It's the supreme law of the land, and we will be submissive to it. No, that's not what they're saying. Michael Santucci, a cryptologic warfare officer from Fort Myers, Florida, saw a medical provider at a military hospital for feelings of depression and homesickness a few months after arriving in Hawaii last year, according to his lawsuit filed in April. He wasn't diagnosed with any disqualifying behavioral, emotional, or mental disorder. He later filled out forms to register his firearms with the Honolulu Police Department and indicated that he had been treated for depression, but noted, quote, it was not serious. Hawaii law requires registration of all firearms. What would that be? Hawaii law requires that infringements be in place before the slaves beg for the Hawaii government to grant them permission. Thank you, Hawaii government, for something that you have a right to do in the first place. Prior to acquiring a gun, an applicant must apply for a permit. Santucci needed such a permit even though he legally owned his firearms before arriving in Hawaii. Legally? How about he had the right? Because Santucci answered yes on a form indicating he had sought counseling, the permit process was halted and his firearms were seized. So in other words, they not only violated his Second Amendment right to keep and bear arms, they violated his Fourth Amendment right to be secure in his persons, houses, papers, and effects, and according to the Declaration of Independence, pursue life, liberty, property, and happiness. So he said yes on this form, indicating that he sought counseling, and the permit process was halted, and his firearms were stolen. Don't say seized, say stolen. When a thief comes into your house, he doesn't seize things, he steals them. So this U.S. District Judge Derek Watson said Honolulu must return Santucci's firearms and complete the registration of weapons. What he should have said was, Santucci has a perfect right to keep and bear arms, and you, Honolulu, shall not infringe that right. If this judge was actually on Santucci's corner or the corner of anybody in America, that's what he would have said. The city is evaluating the decision and its impact on our processes. Kevin O'Grady, one of Santucci's lawyers, said the case was, quote, illustrative of Hawaii's strong opposition to anything that approaches the free exercise of the Second Amendment. It is not the free exercise of the Second Amendment to bow down and bend down and beg the government to have something that you already got the right to have in the first place. The lawsuit was filed before a U.S. Supreme Court ruling expanding gun rights across the nation, which forced Hawaii to begin issuing concealed carry permits. Previously, those permits had been practically impossible to obtain. Again, permits are a permission slip. If you're a free man, you don't seek permission from anybody for nothing, no how, no way. Santucci's lawsuit focused only on the permits to acquire firearms, but Honolulu and the state will need to take the high court decision into consideration when overhauling the process to ensure others aren't precluded from obtaining permits based on disclosing previous mental health counseling. What the judge is saying is Honolulu is misapplying the law. They're getting Hawaii law wrong, Beck said. If you mark yes on counseling, then you've lost your gun rights. Well, you've already lost your gun rights if in the first place you have to beg Hawaii for permission that the Constitution supposedly gives you in the first place, which brings us back to Lysander Spooner. Whether the Constitution be one thing or another, this much is certain. It's either authorized such a tyrannical government as we have, and this is tyranny, or it's been powerless to stop it. In either case, the Constitution, is unfit to exist. We either have a supreme law of the land that everybody should abide by, or we don't. And it looks like we don't. Thank you for tuning in to High Impact TV. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to this channel. Hit the bell notification icon. Give it a thumbs up. Share it with everybody you know. Don't forget to subscribe to my private email list or my website, highimpactflix.com. I will see you in the next video.